in Medicaid, and she did a fantastic job, and I just can't give her credit enough. And often when I'm given opportunity to talk here on these kinds of things, I spend my time saying what a great job she did. So anyway, get the pictures, and Steve, you put her in the byline so we can send a paper down to her mom. Not the byline, whatever, put it in the tip. You know what to do. Right? So, boy, what a long history. Back in the 90s, who here doesn't know Karen Purdue? That's what I thought. Back in the 90s, I had the subcommittee. When I was in Senate Finance, I had the subcommittee on Health and Social Services. And every year previous to that, oh my gosh, you'd start off the year and the first question you asked was, how much did Medicaid expand this year? It was just seemingly out of our ability to stop it from expanding. And Karen always said there were good reasons to expand it, and I never believed her. And so rather than help, I think sometimes I just took shots. And over time, great thing is, Karen actually went to the chairman of Senate Finance at that time and said, "Can you get somebody other than Kelly on the Health and Social Services budget?" Well, when we came back and I was finance chair, and you open up the portfolio and there it is. What's the Medicaid problem this year? And it was too institutionalized in the state. We just kind of had accepted that Medicaid was going to expand, not expansion, but increase, and that there was nothing we could do about it. We just had to somehow make do and criticize, and that was very important because we could choose sides in a tough battle, and you knew you could be right when something was being spent that egregiously for a period. And what I learned over time was that it was a bunch of really good people. I'm looking at Santa and John right now. You guys, about really good people working on this in a flawed system. There's no question it's a flawed system. And so I wondered, why has it never been changed? And I had been away from the legislature for a while, and I had seen some people take some stabs at it, but they always were doing the same thing. They were doing the same thing, taking the same approach that I had taken years before. And that was, rather than actually reform the system, we were trying to reform the people who were using it. We were concentrating on access, not on quality of care and efficiencies and those kinds of things. And so a good friend of mine from years past, Bill Sturr, I'm sure you all know him, I asked him to come to work for me just on a contract basis and just say, "Bill, I don't know anything about Medicaid. I do this budget every year, it seems, and yet I couldn't tell you that I know any more about it than I did when I was maybe in my second or third year in the House years ago." So he and Heather dug into it, and they began to come up with some of the things that you structurally needed to change. And some of the things that they were coming up with were wrong, and some of them were right. With hope, I think the right things made it into the bill. But the failure of the past to reform Medicaid came from the fact that we saw Medicaid as a bad thing because it was costing too much and because it was inefficient. And it wasn't until we had to change our mindset to say, no, this is a good thing. This is something we need to do. People's health is at the foundation of a prosperous state and a healthy state, healthy not only in mind but body as well. And until you can recognize that Medicaid is a good thing and that it needs to be made better, you can't truly reform it. And that was, I hope, what we tried to do in this, was that we put as paramount the fact that people need access. We can't deny their access. We may save a few bucks, we think, but really that money always comes back to you because the healthcare needs ultimately have to be addressed. So I think that's in there, and the governor did a good job of explaining some of the pieces that are in there, although we could talk here for quite a long time because that was a complicated, complex bill. There were actually 3 bills in there, and there was your bill, essentially, that was merged with my bill, that was merged with Peter McChickey's bill, and then Kathy Giesel had some issues on there. And I think it's real important to recognize those people. Anna McKinnon, the work she did in finance, I think there were 18 subcommittee meetings on this bill alone, and Kathy was on that subcommittee, as was I, and Peter McChickey as well. And it really got worked over in a good way, as it had been worked over in a good way in the other committees. And I think what we finally came out with was a very refined bill. I think what we'll probably find is that there are some flaws. Anything this complex, and I know you're contemplating the signature of another reform bill that's on your desk, or it's going to be on your desk soon. There's going to be some flaws in it. What we need to do is take the massive reforms that we have in these bills and say, okay, next year, who volunteers to go back and fix some of the flaws and address some of the issues that may pop up. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Governor, for the work that your people did. You know, frankly, there were so many of your folks involved, and I key on those two right there, and just really appreciate the work they did. Of course, Val, who isn't here now, but and Diane, you were one of the people that I was picking on years ago. I didn't see you much in this bill because I was otherwise detained with the budget and those kinds of things. Lastly, Heather Shattuck, don't forget that name. Wow, what a job she did. Oh my gosh. It's so fantastic to be able to have the quality of people working for you that you can, with complete confidence, hand them something this big and say, I got to go do a budget, you got to do this, it's on you. And what she just continued to come back with was quality work. And then what was the really cool thing is that she stopped coming back because she was so confident about what she was doing and what needed to be done that she interjected her own personality and her own values, working with the department and the governor's people to make what I think is a fantastic bill. I'm very proud of the bill, but I'm more proud of her. And thank you, Heather. And thank you all.